Super Mario 3D World, an underrated Mario adventure that is getting a second chance with its well-deserved port to the Nintendo Switch. Since I'm one of the few people who still enjoys playing Wii U games, I most certainly spent my fair share of time with the Wii U version of this running, jumping, Goomba smashing platforming game. Believe it or not, there are quite a few differences between the Switch and Wii U versions, and today I'll be going over the ones I noticed and at the end share which version I prefer. So without further ado,
Let's do this!
oh boy, where to begin with this one? There are plenty of differences when it comes to controlling the character's movement, the moves they can do, and how they can perform these moves. That may have sounded like a handful, but don't worry, I'll simplify it a bit for all our sakes. So let's start with how the characters control. One of the first things I noticed when I first played the Switch version was how fast the characters move now. It's insane! Especially with Toad. He was already kinda fast in the original, but on the Switch, I had trouble keeping track of where he was at first. His strolling speed on the Switch seems like his running speed on the Wii U. Speaking of running speeds and Wii U's, it takes much longer for the characters to reach their running speed on the Wii U than it does on the Switch. Now of course, this was easy to adjust to given time, but I must say, I appreciate this change quite a bit. The original game felt quite tedious on many occasions, so it was nice to go through the levels at a fast pace. Additionally, the cat dive lasts longer on the Switch version. Take this example here. For those who didn't know, you can cat dive to skip the cannon section in Super Bell Hill. You can see with this side-by-side comparison the difference in how long the cat dives last. This is a nice addition because it feels like you have more freedom with your movement, knowing you can make these huge jumps without worrying about running out of stamina for the dive. But that's not all the game does to be quicker. You can now ground pound through pipes, just like you could in Mario Odyssey. This is much better than going at a snail's pace down the pipes on the Wii U. That about covers all the changes made to the moves that were in the game before, but there's a new move added to the Switch version, the dive. Just like Mario Odyssey, another reference to that masterpiece, you can perform a dive by jumping, pressing ZL or ZR, and then X or Y. Simple. You may think that this move is unnecessary considering how little distance it covers, but that's where you're wrong. When the dive is not useful for traveling faster, it is useful for saving you from what could have resulted in one less 1-up in your vast collection. Seriously, lives are incredibly easy to come by, but that's getting off topic. It's quite a useful move and in my opinion a welcome addition to 3D World. And before we move on, one minor control difference. You can't move your character with the control pad on the Switch version, only on the Wii U. This is obviously because the control pad is used to activate the amiibo functions in the Switch version. And with that, we basically covered all the character control differences between the two versions of 3D World, so let's move on to the next topic. Just so I don't confuse people, in the last section, we talked about the different actions the characters can do, or their controls. In this section, we'll be talking about differences in the elements of the gameplay itself, not the controls of the gameplay. Alright, with that out of the way, this is where I found what I consider to be the biggest changes between the two games. The first of these is the ability to use amiibo in the game. The Cat Peach amiibo grants you with one random item for each time you enter a level. However, she will only give you an item once per attempt at a level. The Cat Mario amiibo gives you an exclusive power-up not found in the Wii U version, the Invincibility Bell. It's basically the cat suit and the white Tanuki suit put together, and it's quite useful for clearing those levels that just seem stupidly difficult with all the enemies you encounter. Also, since we were recently talking about the control pad being used for amiibo, you can activate the amiibo by pressing left on the control pad and scanning them in. The Invincibility Bell may allow you to coast through easy levels, but if you want to try them without this new power-up and you die, you don't need to worry about having to recollect any stars or stamps you got before dying. Back in the olden days of the Wii U version of 3D World, you would lose any of the stars or stamps you collected if you die. That was just annoying and tedious, especially for auto-scrollers or really difficult levels. Thankfully this was resolved in the Switch version. I didn't sign up to play Reverse 3D World. When you complete levels, you may have remembered that you had to watch the game save on the Wii U version. Now, the game saves in the background, and you can see it on the bottom left of the screen once you finish a level. This helps save time when playing since you can start traveling to a different level as soon as you leave it. This is especially nice when playing online. We wouldn't want that dreaded bit of awkward silence while playing. Ugh. Oh yeah, you can play this game online with friends or even random people now. This is not only great for people with long distance friendships, but also for those who just can't go to each other's houses. Having the ability to play online is a major convenience for these types of situations. And you're not limited to the main levels either. You can even play the Captain Toad levels with multiple people now, and online. Players 2 through 4 are represented by different colored toads. Another change to the gameplay is that you can skip the cutscenes in the Switch version. This is really nice when it comes to the long boss cutscenes. I mean, I don't like having to watch the bosses make their flashy entrance onto the stage, or watching the characters run into the castle on a hero's quest to save the Sprixie princesses. I mean, the first time, it's pretty cool, but it just gets annoying having to constantly watch them when replaying the levels as the other characters. And the last gameplay difference that I deem important enough to be in this section is that you can access the spare power-ups with the up button on the control pad in the Switch version. You had to use the minus button to do this on the Wii U version. I figured this small difference was important enough because using your spare power-up is very important when it comes to playing the game, so a change here would be pretty important as well. But those are the major differences with the gameplay, and now moving off the major scale and onto the minor scale. We are now at the point in the episode where there are no formal transitions whatsoever, no specific order either. Alright, so let's get the obvious out of the way. The Wii U version doesn't have Bowser's Fury in it! Okay, I said it, I can move on. The stamps are in color on the Switch version, while they are only black and white on the Wii U. There is no file select screen when you first boot up the game with a new user on the Switch, and there is on the Wii U. Speaking of save files with different users, each user is given 4 save files on the Switch, while being limited to 3 on the Wii U. Such a shame. It takes a lot longer for the game to load on the Wii U than it does on the Switch, likely because it's being read from a disc and not a cartridge. It's probable that there is no loading screen on the Switch version for this very same reason. The cap on the top of the World Progress screen is bigger on the Wii U than it is on the Switch. Speaking of, the way you access the stamp collection in World Progress has changed. On the Wii U, there were buttons on the World Selection map to bring you to either one. On the Switch, you press L or R to scroll to a new page with these from the World Selection map. Speaking of the buttons, they're a lot bulkier on the Wii U than they are on the Switch. The menus as a whole look quite different. The Switch's menu system is more elaborate and has more options than the Wii U one. There is no X next to the number of lives on the Switch version, while there is on the Wii U version. A strange change in my opinion, but it doesn't hinder the gameplay at all, so it doesn't bother me. The character symbols at the bottom of the World Selection map are different between the Switch and Wii U versions. On the World Selection screen, there are 2 bars surrounding the buttons on the Switch version, while there are 4 bars surrounding the buttons on the Wii U version. You can overwrite save data in files on the Switch. You can't do this on the Wii U. Those platforms that require you to blow into the mic on the Wii U are now replaced with those yellow platforms that move automatically, or those cloud platforms in some levels. I see why they did this, but it just doesn't feel right, to me especially, considering my channel is also dedicated to videos of fans. The more fans, the better. In the Switch version, you can retry a level without exiting it, while on the Wii U, you need to exit to retry a level. The time savings here is unbelievably convenient. Alright, last one. In the Champions Road level, yeah, that incredibly difficult and long obstacle course in World Crown, there is a small difference that I somewhat suspect was unintentional. In the area where the spikes and water are, you go through a clear pipe to make it to the blazing fast Speedy McMadison section, and you can see this pipe in the Wii U version, but for some reason, you can't see it on the Switch version. I'm not sure if this was by chance intentional and meant to add yet even more difficulty to this already difficult level, but if that was their intention, it worked on me the first couple times I made it this far. But in all honesty, I think this was a mistake, because I don't think there was really any good reason to make the pipe harder to see otherwise. Wow, that was a big list of small differences, little oxymoron there. But that also wraps up the differences I noticed between the Wii U and Switch versions of Super Mario 3D World. There are a lot more than I thought there would be, but it took me playing the game on the Wii U to make me realize how much more of a game changer these differences are. The best way I can describe it is with the speed of the game. It's a lot faster playing through it on the Switch than it is playing it on the Wii U. However, this is not easy to understand unless you've played both versions yourself. But now, for the big moment. Which version do I like best? So we've made it to the big question. Which version of Super Mario 3D World do I prefer? Wii U, or Switch? Well, I think the answer is obvious. While I will always treasure all the memories I made with this game on the Wii U, I have to say that the Switch version is my favorite. With the increased speed, use of amiibo, online play, and with the overall more aesthetically pleasing look, this is easily my favorite way to play the game. The new features just can't be beat, which is why I'm sure this will be the way I choose to play the game from now on. And that wraps up Super Mario 3D World vs. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I shared some of the differences I noticed between the two versions and which of them I preferred. But before you go, please let me know which version you prefer and why. Also, if you've confirmed any differences between the two versions of the game that I missed, please let me know about those as well. I'd be interested to learn about them. And with that, this has been Fans of Games. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.